Imagine waking up 5 years from now and realizing you've become exactly the person you dreamed of being. Not by chance, but by choice. In this video, we're diving deep into the quiet force that separates those who wish from those who achieve. Discipline. Not the kind that burns you out, but the kind that builds you up, rep by rep, decision by decision. So if you're ready to stop starting over and finally become unshakable, stay with me until the end. And hey, if this message resonates with you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. This journey is just beginning, and you're a part of it. When I analyze the patterns of human behavior across history, disciplines, and generations, one constant stands out. Not brilliance, not raw talent, not even access to resources, but discipline. The quiet, unspectacular, often invisible force that decides whether dreams become reality or remain buried in the graveyard of good intentions. It is the thread running through the lives of world-class athletes, visionary leaders, master strategists, and even fictional characters who inspire us, like Rock Lee from Naruto, who once said, "A genius, huh? What does that mean? Genius? So I was not born with a whole lot of natural talent, not gifted like Neji. But I work hard, and I never give up. That is my gift. That is my ninja way." Discipline is the superpower of those who refuse to rely on miracles. The vast majority of ambitious goals never see the light of completion, not because the dream was unworthy, but because the individual lacked the ability to show up, day after day, regardless of how they felt. Research indicates that nearly 97% of people who set major life goals abandon them midway. Why? Because they believe that feelings should determine actions. They wait to feel motivated, inspired, or ready. But the world doesn't bend to the rhythm of our emotions. It responds to consistency, to reliability, to execution. Emotions are temporary visitors. Discipline is a lifelong companion. Let's break this down logically. Discipline is not an abstract virtue. It's a functional algorithm. It is the ability to carry out the essential action, even when fear whispers in your ear, even when fatigue stiffens your limbs, even when the results aren't immediately visible. It's the courage to repeat the process until the process becomes the reward. This is the foundation of high performance. As Miyamoto Musashi once wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. But no matter the path, each one is paved with deliberate, often mundane repetition." Statistically, this is undeniable. The high achiever makes tens of thousands of decisions annually that directly align with their objective. Micro decisions: wake up or snooze, gym or scroll, write or watch. Every one of those is a fork in the road. The disciplined person chooses correctly not once in a while, but with staggering regularity. This isn't about chance, it's a system. It's about making the hard choice so many times it becomes your default. In Attack on Titan, Captain Levi captures this essence. The only thing we're allowed to do is to believe that we won't regret the choice we made. Discipline is that belief, made manifest in action. Through a deep analysis of human performance and long-term success, one pattern emerges with crystal clarity. The elite among us have developed what can only be called a psychological override system. They don't rely on fleeting sparks of motivation to fuel their progress. Instead, they've hardwired their operating system to function independently of how they feel in any given moment. It's not that they never feel tired, bored, or afraid. They do, but they act anyway. They've built an inner code of conduct that takes over when emotion threatens execution. As One Piece's Roronoa Zoro once said, "When I decided to follow my dream, I had already discarded my right to make excuses." And that's the energy of discipline, action without negotiation. The strategy itself is deceptively simple. Remove daily decision-making from the process. Decide once, and then stop deciding. That's the difference. Predetermine the critical behaviors that align with your mission, then perform them as programmed. Do not consult your emotional state. Do not poll your feelings for permission. Execute, record, adjust, repeat. This system isn't just poetic, it's statistically effective. Studies in behavioral psychology show that those who automate key habits increase their odds of sustained success by up to 94%. The winners aren't more inspired, they're more systemized. The average person fails not for lack of ambition, but because they keep asking themselves if they feel like showing up today. That question is the killer. It drains willpower and creates what science refers to as decision fatigue. Every day, nearly 35% of your brain's energy is spent making unnecessary decisions. What to wear, when to start, whether to go. The disciplined mind eliminates this waste by converting critical behaviors into rituals. The time you once spent deciding is now spent executing. Want the blueprint? Here it is. Step 1. Establish non-negotiable behaviors tied directly to your goals. Step 2. Anchor them to fixed times each day to build neurological expectancy. Step 3. Track execution with clear yes or no metrics. Step 4. Review breakdowns to expose internal or external sabotage. Step 5. Eliminate those variables one by one without mercy. What elevates high performers isn't what they know. It's what they consistently do when nobody's watching. It's what they execute in silence, when progress feels invisible, when no reward is in sight. Those moments, the ones that seem meaningless, are the very fabric of success. Statistically, they compose nearly 89% of the outcome. That's right, almost 9 out of 10 results in your life are forged during the moments you're tempted to skip. The evidence is overwhelming. Discipline isn't an optional enhancement. It is the foundational engine of achievement. Without it, all potential remains hypothetical. The formula is brutally elegant. Consistent action over time equals inevitable results. Anything less is simply a gamble against math. I've run the calculations. I've studied the data. I've tracked the behaviors that separate those who succeed from those who surrender. And the truth is this: discipline is not some spiritual enigma. It's a statistically consistent behavior pattern. It's the highest performing algorithm we have for achieving anything meaningful. Strip away the emotion, the excuses, the narratives, and what remains is a clear cause and effect chain. Consistent action leads to measurable results. Period. The real question isn't whether discipline is effective. That's already settled by overwhelming evidence. The real question is whether you're willing to deploy a system that works, even when your mood doesn't cooperate. And here's the key. Don't decide every day. Decide once. Commit once. Then execute that decision with cold, mechanical consistency. Your future is built in that automation. From my position, having observed countless individuals from the sidelines, I've noticed something most people completely overlook. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about reliability. People often think they've failed because they slipped once or twice. But that's a misunderstanding. True discipline is about consistently making the right moves when it matters most, especially when the odds or emotions are against you. Think back. When was the last time you felt deep pride? Not surface-level happiness. I mean the kind of pride that hums in your bones. I guarantee it didn't come from an easy win. It came from enduring something tough, showing up when quitting felt justified, staying in motion when everything inside screamed for comfort. Those are the moments that etch growth into your identity. And here's the paradox of discipline. The thing almost no one tells you. It gets easier. Not because the work becomes lighter, but because you become stronger. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it responds to resistance. Every time you choose the painful truth over the comforting lie, every time you act in alignment with your vision instead of your feelings, you fortify yourself. You send a signal to your brain. This is who I am now. And the brain listens. Neuroplasticity isn't fiction. It's physics. You're literally rewiring your identity through action. This is why the most successful people aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're the most trained in executing the hard things, repeatedly, without hesitation. In Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, Edward Elric said, "A lesson without pain is meaningless." That's because you can't gain something without sacrificing something else. That's what discipline is. The sacrifice of comfort for the gain of self-mastery. Over time, this becomes your edge. Not because you love the grind, but because you've learned to respect it. You've come to understand that behind every result is a process, and behind every process, a decision that was made long ago. So stop renegotiating. The outcome belongs to the one who acts like it's already theirs. Picture yourself 6 months from now, 1 year, 5 years down the line. That version of you, wiser, stronger, more capable, isn't just a possibility. It's being shaped, brick by the decisions you make today, right now, in this very second. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. And here's the beautiful twist. That future version of you, they're silently watching, silently hoping you'll choose the path that serves them, hoping you'll push through the discomfort, the fear, the temptation to delay, because they've already seen the life you can build, and they're waiting for you to catch up. In My Hero Academia, All Might tells Deku, you too can become a hero, not by dreaming, but by choosing again and again the path of difficult, deliberate action. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about restriction or punishment or robotic routines, but that's not it at all. Discipline is freedom, not freedom in the shallow sense of doing whatever you feel like. That's chaos, not liberation. That's the fastest way to become a prisoner to your moods and impulses. Real freedom is much quieter, much deeper. It's knowing, with unshakable confidence, that you can trust yourself, that your word has weight, that when you say you'll do something, you do it even when no one's watching. That kind of self-trust changes everything. It's the foundation of confidence, of purpose, of real peace. And the only way to build it is through discipline. Not grand gestures, but daily proof that you show up for yourself. So how do you begin? How do you actually build discipline in a world that constantly tempts you to break your word to yourself? You start small, ridiculously small. So small that your brain almost laughs at it. One push-up, one sentence, $1 saved. That's where it begins. Not in the gym, not in a morning routine that looks good on social media, but in the smallest promise you can keep. The key is to treat that promise like it's sacred, like it matters more than anything else. Because in a way, it does. If you can't keep the smallest promise to yourself, why would your future self believe you'll keep the big ones? Each time you follow through, even on something microscopic, you send a powerful message to your mind. I am the kind of person who follows through. That identity compounds. Over time, you start to believe in your own voice. You become your own evidence. This is how giants are built, not in massive leaps, but in microscopic movements done with absolute consistency. As Guts from Berserk once said, even if we painstakingly piece together something lost, it doesn't mean things will ever go back to how they were. And that's true, but it also means you have the power to build something better, one disciplined action at a time. I'll be honest, I wrestled with discipline for years. I'd get inspired, go all in, and burn out within weeks. Then the self-doubt would creep in. I'd wonder if I was broken, if I just wasn't cut out for the kind of consistency high performers seem to have. It felt like something was wrong with me. But it wasn't until much later that I realized the truth. I wasn't failing because I lacked willpower. I was failing because I was trying to transform everything all at once. I was trying to rewrite my entire identity overnight. The standard I had set was so high, so rigid, that the first stumble felt like total defeat. What I needed wasn't a complete overhaul. It was a slight, sustainable upgrade. One notch better, one step further. And when that clicked, everything shifted. Discipline, I discovered, isn't about flawlessness. It's about resilience. It's not about never falling. It's about how quickly and consistently you get back up. That understanding was a breakthrough for me. Once I embraced the idea that discipline meant recovery, not perfection, I was finally free to grow, free to fail forward, free to stumble without quitting. Think of it like this. Each time you break a streak or miss a goal, it's not the end. It's the next rep in building mental strength. The key isn't avoiding the fall, it's making the fall part of your training. That's how you become unshakable. The real truth about discipline, the part that changes lives, is this. It's not built in moments of smooth sailing. It's forged in chaos, in resistance, in discomfort, when everything goes sideways and you still show up. That's where grit is born. That's where identity is shaped. You don't need extraordinary talent or divine luck to become disciplined. You need a simple commitment to keep moving, even when the path is uphill and your feet are heavy. In Hajime no Ippo, Coach Kamigawa says, "It's not the punch you throw, it's the punch you endure that makes you a champion." That's discipline, not the action itself, but your willingness to keep returning to it, no matter how many times life hits back. And here's what's beautiful about that truth. It makes discipline accessible to everyone. You don't need a perfect streak. You just need one more comeback than collapse. That's all it takes. That quiet decision to try again. That's what separates those who merely wish from those who become. You can master this. Anyone can. Because it's not about being superhuman. It's about being stubborn enough to refuse defeat. And in that refusal, you build something stronger than willpower. You build belief.